Lots of countries are having second thoughts about the Americans as a reliable trade partner. The Liberal leader, Mark Carney, said as much a few days ago. One of the questions is, how far would America go, though, to exert trade pressure on its allies and trading partners? And some people are thinking about enriched nuclear fuel. Canada can't produce the stuff. Our CANDU reactors run on pretty plain old uranium. However, there's a move afoot now to put a small modular reactor, a US-designed one, into Ontario, and this would need enriched nuclear fuel from New Mexico. So are we putting ourselves at risk here? We're joined by Akira Tokuhiro, a professor in energy and nuclear engineering at Ontario Tech University. Professor, thanks very much indeed for joining us. So
thank you.
This small modular reactor would need enriched fuel from the US, and as far as I know, other proposals in Canada would need similar fuel.
Yes, but sure, you're right that the Canadian CANDU reactor does run on natural uranium or unenriched fuel, but and the small modular reactor does require lower enrichment uranium. But the global nuclear fuel market is just that. It doesn't have to includes the U.S., but doesn't have to. The fuel doesn't have to come from the U.S.
Right. So we should be careful, I suppose, that we don't lock ourselves in, though, to relying on fuel from any one country, I suppose.
Sure. There's a legacy and there's a tradition to rely on our neighbor to the south for much of the nuclear technology, but the market itself is a global market. So there are a number of countries that produce lower enrichment uranium fuel for the nuclear reactors that we have all over the world.
I know that it gets complex here, but does Canada really have a chance of remaining a nuclear player globally? I mean, with CANDU reactors, because we haven't sold new ones to new clients in I don't know how long, how many years?
It does, because it is, along with other G7-like nations, it has a long legacy and a history in nuclear power, in civilian nuclear power, and although and it still to this day has its own reactor concept, which is maybe hasn't been sold, but it has been sold internationally. Maybe not as popular in number in terms of the pressurized water reactor or the boiling water reactor, but it is one of the leading concepts in the world. So we're at a point in history, I think, where that legacy model is about to change.
Sorry, go ahead, Professor. What were you going to say?
No, I'm just saying that we're about to change some of the old practices going forward, looking at 2050, to net zero paths, right? So that's what I would say.
The Globe had a piece about this, and you were quoted as saying, we haven't done our due diligence in terms of having other partners. So you do think we should be broadening our nuclear supply chain internationally?
Yes. So Canada has, as I said, has a traditional and maybe until the changes down south, a preferred partner, but Canada is at a point where they can have new partners, and that hurdle is not so high, because, as I said, the global nuclear market it is a global market. It is a global sector.
Could we get enriched or low enriched fuel from the French, for example?
Yes, France is a possibility. Sweden is a possibility. Spain is a possibility. Japan is a possibility. So there are a number of, wherever you have nuclear power, you have to have a supply of nuclear fuel. So we can look at that and say, where is that nuclear fuel supply coming from?
What about, is there any way the CANDU technology could be adapted to build small reactors, these so-called SMRs?
Yes, I mean, it's a matter of the time and effort that's needed for engineering design of a smaller reactor concept, but it can certainly be done. Canada has a technical capability to do that.
We've heard a lot of hype about these SMRs, that they'll perhaps be safer, they'll be cheaper, you can build them in a modular way. But critics say, well, there's going to be a long approval process for these things. Where do you stand in the debate?
Well, I think all those, what you just said is true, but these are not impossible tasks. It can be done. We need to show a commitment to doing some of these things, a smaller design or medium design or large design or next generation design. These are all things that can be done technically. And what's important is that it's also be done non-technically, or in terms of regulations, in terms of standards, in terms of the supply chain, in terms of the siting, in terms of the investments. All these things need to come together, but that's, it's not, it's been done before, and as I said, in many G7-like countries, like in France and in Germany and Russia and China, United States and in Japan and South Korea. So I'm just mentioning the nuclear nations, and many other countries that have, one or two or three or four reactors. They're highly dependent, and they're lucky to have the reactors either today or tomorrow, like Poland is looking for tomorrow. This is a way to make progress toward the net zero commitment. Nuclear will make the commitment easier, or else relying on renewables and other sources, relying on fossil fuels other than natural gas, it's a hard challenge if you look at the energy portfolio of many countries.
Yeah, I mean, because oil, gas, coal still have dominant roles. That's right, around the world. So just give us your thoughts on SMRs, though. Have the prospects of these smaller reactors been overhyped?
No, I think it's realistic. And, the NuScale reactor, for example, has regulatory approval from the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission. It just needs a commitment for the first of a kind, FOAK, plant to be built. And I would say that if you combine it with the current excitement and enthusiasm for data centers, small modular reactors may make a lot of sense.
We had better leave it there. Oh, sorry, Professor. Yeah. Finish your thought. No, finish your thought, please.
No. I just think that the nuclear plus data centers is making the relevance of nuclear power that much more important. With nuclear power and electricity, we have Wi-Fi. So.
That's right. Yeah. I can't imagine. This is the only known planet in the universe with Wi-Fi. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So.
Thank you very much
Thank
indeed.
you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks for joining.